I would now like to introduce our panel for this afternoon, joined today by Helen Perry-Raycraft, who's Assistant Regional Vice President, Region 6 for Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC for ASIS Canada. Also the Women in Security Liaison for the ASIS Saskatchewan chapter, member at large for the CANASA National Board, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Brigadier and Elite Security Systems. Also joined by Joanne Robertson, who is a board member for CANASA B.C. Council. She's a member of the CANASA National Working Committee and is Director of Sales West for Inaxsys Security Systems. Ceres Silva, who is the chair of the Women in Security ASIS Toronto Council. She's a council member for CANASA Central, member for SIA's Women in Security Forum, founding member of Immigrant Women in Business of Canada, and she's the Canadian Sales Director for Eagle Eye Networks. And joining us once again is Erin Mann, who is on the Board of Directors for the Foundation for Advancing Security Talent, FAST, the Vice Chair of SIA's RISE Steering Committee for Young Professionals, and a member of SIA's PropTech Advisory Board. She's also a member of the SIA Women in Security Forum and the Canadian Women in Security Forum. And once again, Erin is also City Manager for Toronto at Latch. Okay, welcome back, everybody. All right, so kick it off with our first question. How did you first get involved in security associations? So maybe, Erin, I'm going to go to you for that first, please.
Sure. So I first got involved when I moved into a new, more tech-focused customer experience and marketing role at Allegiant back in 2017, 2018. And this role, I was working with software developers and external tech companies. And I realized that I needed some more education onto how I could really work best with these customers outside of the organization. So I was looking at programs that I could take to kind of get that skill set up to speed. And I actually was introduced to RISE because they had a scholarship program that I could apply for. So RISE is probably the program and the association that I am most involved in. It is a steering committee and community of 900 plus young professionals from around the world in the security industry. And their scholarship program, or our scholarship program, is one of the many opportunities for advancement we offer to young professionals and individuals who are new to the security industry. So I actually ended up being awarded that scholarship. It allowed me to take the course that I was looking to take to upskill myself so I could better perform in my role. And then I fell in love with the involvement that I could have and the opportunities I could take advantage of. So it was very serendipitous, but it's been the greatest kind of avenue that my role in the security industry has gone down so far.
Great, thanks, Erin. Maybe Helen, tell us a bit more about how you got involved in the security associations.
Well, being in little old Saskatchewan here, there wasn't a great deal of associations around. I had a mentor, who's actually a client of mine, that suggested that maybe I should be more involved in associations and kind of promote security more and be more involved. So it was about 6-7 years ago where I joined the ASIS Sask chapter, just as a member at large. And then from there, a year later, I got voted in as the chapter chair. And I've been involved with ASIS ever since. The CANASA, again, I've been a big proponent of women in security, just because where I am, we don't see a lot of women in this field. So I thought it'd be great to also be involved at the CANASA level. And me being who I am, instead of starting at small at the regional level, I just jumped straight onto the national board to see how I could support and participate in that area as well.
Thank you, Helen. Ceres, tell us a bit about how you're involved in associations.
Hello, good afternoon. So actually, when I started more of looking for mentors because I had some great women leaders in the market. So when I started looking for associations, it was almost like Erin mentioned for the certifications portion to improve my career development. So the certifications were a great path for me to achieve and to improve my career and my skill set. But after meeting some women in the security market, I decided that the same mentors that I decided to get involved to be a mentor and to do a networking for younger professionals as well. So I found that by joining a security association, not only a security association, but a women association. For example, I'm part of I'm one of the founding members for the Immigrant Women in Business. I know if we just think there are only 12% of women in tech or STEM roles around the world. So having that part of that association gave me the skill set for also to be a mentor in a different part of different associations where women are lacking that support. I'm also a member of CANASA, which is, our largest security association here in Canada. But the Women in Security, I was a volunteer with the Women in Security Toronto chapter for ASIS for a couple of years before, I had the pleasure to be invited to be the chair of this Toronto chapter for the Women in Security here in Toronto. And I'm also part of SIA, Women in Security. So I think the networking portion, before I was looking for a mentor, but now I have the great pleasure to be a mentor for someone else. So the skill set and the experience you can hear for other women. I mean, I had great, leaders and great examples from when I started my career. So what's better to contribute and now give to the next generation? So I think the associations are a great tool and resources for that.
Thank you, Ceres. And Joanne, tell us a bit more about how you're involved with security associations, how you came to that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to join this panel, by the way, to start with. The way that I became involved, and I'm part of the BC Regional CANASA board, is jumping off of something Erin said in the last panel of being at the table and just moving over to bring somebody else to sit beside them. And that's how I became part of CANASA in British Columbia, where I was asked by another woman that is significant influence in this industry, suggested to me that I should join and invited me starting off just as a volunteer and a guest to give back moving forward, but also as a networking platform to become more visible in the industry. So leading back to what we just, the first panel, how important it is to have women that are already in the industry putting a hand out to newer women in the industry. So I've been on part of the CANASA board for about 5 years, and from there worked on to the national board, and always looking for other avenues to help not just the industry, but this is very inspirational to start really helping other women as well.
Thank you, Joanne. How are associations leading the way for women in security? And are there any sort of specific initiatives? I know you've mentioned, the panel has mentioned a few things here and there, but maybe we can dive a bit deeper. What are these specific initiatives that have been successful? And maybe we can talk about some of those results. Ceres, you want to go first?
Sure. So really to close this, I don't want to say a gender gap, but like going back to what I mentioned about the STEM careers, where 12% of women are on this manager roles on the STEM careers. But if you just take a step back, if you think on the STEM students, only 3% in those type of careers are students taking those roles or taking those topics in school. So the associations, not only we're trying to close this gender gap, but through our associations, we can support, so we can promote, so expand the global women in security, or the global women in technology as a whole. We're trying, by bringing speakers, by providing panelists or providing panels like this one, sharing ideas, education. So we develop content and resources accessible to all community members, engaging, serving the community through events. So it can be online events. I will take the example from the Women in Security Toronto chapter. We try to do online events for everyone, like males and females, because we all know, like, male and female working together towards an efficient company, the diversity of ideas, regardless of the gender, can bring a more profitable organization. So that's sharing ideas. So promoting, educating, building engagement, mentoring, the online engagement and on-site, and in events, like we're planning one in November as well. So I think those are all the activities that we can do to benefit more women getting involved in our security jobs. So women benefit from having direct access to professional development by networking with security professional, other women as well.
Thank you, Ceres. Helen.
So we'll pick on ASIS because Ceres is with me in that one. There's a focus with the new strategic plan to make sure there's more women in security. It's more prevalent. There's a push to make sure the women in security are being included in the different forums. So not just at the chapter level, not just at the national level, but finding guest speakers that can go to even Zoom calls on other chapter events or national events, things like that. So ASIS is really pushing the women in security and driving that more. And if you look at the statistics just on that side, I believe about 12% of the membership is women. And this is here in Canada, which is actually quite low considering the number of women that's actually involved in the different aspects of security. So, I think associations are working towards being more inclusive, and that's not just in the women in security side, but also the young professionals and the underrepresented population. So I think that's important. On the CANASA side, again, it's networking. And as we work together, I mean, Joanne mentioned a mentor, which I'm pretty sure is the same one I have, and she's worked her way through this industry from the very bottom all the way up, and she's doing quite well for herself. She's the president of CANASA. I think that's the one she's talking about. And, this woman is giving us the lead. She's showing us what we can do. She's supporting organizations like this and doing what she can to also get the voice out there. So both organizations are working hard to make sure women in security are being acknowledged, being inclusive, and doing different events to make sure there's growth and promoting this area.
Great, thank you, Helen. Joanne, is there anything specific you can identify that either you've worked on or you're seeing the associations take some leadership?
Yes, thanks. And Helen, yes, you're pretty bang on your assessment there. I think associations are important in general, whether we're speaking about men or women. I think having places for people in the same work community to gather, whether it's for education, whether it's for networking, whether it's for social, it's very important as a community. And I think for women, ASIS, Women in Security, panel discussions such as this to bring issues to the forefront are extremely important and powerful conversations to have. I'd like to see, CANASA is, as you said, more of a networking, but be able to tie in to bring more women to the industry. How do we do that? Whether it's through scholarships, whether it is, as was mentioned earlier, going into the schools and reaching out to young women while they're starting to make discussions, because security is such a umbrella term for all of the avenues that you can use in this industry. That you say security to one person, it means something else to somebody else, and it would mean something else to me. So I think this conversation is a very powerful jumping off mark for us to pinpoint more effective ways for us to, as whatever associations we're involved in, to become more powerful and strengthen our message.
Thank you, Joanne. Erin, can you talk about some of the initiatives that you've been involved in or that you've seen that are actually making a difference in the professional security community?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one I'll start with is RISE. So it's the steering committee is tailored for young professionals or individuals who have been in the industry for fewer than 5 years. We've got a great steering committee of about 15 engaged young professionals and 5 or 6 subcommittees that are focused on our annual scholarship drive, which we've had more than 100 applicants from 5 different countries apply to in the last 5 years. We have a diversity and inclusion subcommittee that is focused on our TIME mentorship program, which launched last year. It's in the middle of our 2nd cohort this year. And TIME is actually an acronym that stands for Talent, Inclusion, Mentorship, and Education. So we hand pair mentors who have applied to be part of the program with mentees who are anywhere from high school, university, or young professionals in the industry, with individuals who will help them advance in their career for a 12-month program, where 9 of the months kind of have a talk track of topics that have to be discussed, anywhere from financial independence and financial literacy to negotiation tactics to kind of just empowerment and diversity and inclusion. So we're making sure that the conversations that are happening between mentors and mentees are really impactful and valuable to both the mentors and the mentees who are involved. The diversity and inclusion subcommittee also really focuses on making sure that other programs like the PropTech Advisory Board or the Cybersecurity Advisory Board or other initiatives within SIA have representation from young professionals on their steering committees, so that those voices are heard, which is a really great way to get individuals involved in some of the areas that might be passions for them outside of their roles and responsibilities. RISE also has the only young professional focused annual conference called Accelerize, which is a really unique event that brings together anywhere from 100 to 250 individuals who are new to the industry or young professionals at a conference specifically tailored for individuals in the security industry who are really looking to build their career and get involved. And then we also have a content subcommittee that's really focused on using our ability and our platforms to produce thought leadership from individuals who are part of our community. So those are some of the initiatives that RISE is really involved in, which has been a really fun trajectory to take the association aspect of young professionals in the last couple of years. Another program I'm involved in is the Foundation for Advancing Security Talent, which is called FAST. And we have a couple really great initiatives. We've got an industry job board, so we really try and help keep talent that's in the industry and people who are looking for jobs within the industry with the first kind of focused job board. We've also just launched a comprehensive salary insight study so that we can really pay attention to what are the market rates for positions that are equitable inside and outside of the security industry. So that hasn't been done in the last couple of years, which is a great initiative to kind of equal the playing field and make sure that the security industry is offering competitive salaries. And then the Women in Security Forum is an absolutely fantastic association to be part of through SIA. For people to find networking opportunities, to build their network, to find individuals that can be their mentors. They also have an amazing scholarship drive that I think they've given out like $80,000 in scholarships, which is tremendous in the last couple of years. They have a Power 100 list, so they're recognizing women's contributions to the industry. And the rest of kind of the associations that everyone's been talking about are really just great avenues for people to build their networks. And so I've seen a lot of great stuff for young professional stuff on the RISE front, but then I also have had a lot of friends who are participating in ASIS initiatives on that front too. And I think there's a lot of momentum with these initiatives. So looking forward to kind of talking about them and seeing how, if anyone wants to get involved, how we can make those connections.
Great, thanks, Erin. You mentioned mentorship and the importance of mentorship and this opportunities for young people or people in the middle of their careers to find mentors either formally through an association program or informally just through connections. But maybe we could just talk a bit more about the importance of mentorship and either what it's meant to you personally or if you've been able to foster a mentorship with somebody coming into the industry. But maybe Joanne, can you just talk a bit about how we can encourage mentorship within the industry and how it can be an important factor to the industry's growth and getting more people involved?
Thank you. Yeah, I think mentorship holistically is a very important tool, whether you're the mentor or the mentee. It's just as important for the mentor because a lot of things as we move through our careers and go down our path, they become second nature to us. And I think by being a mentor for somebody else, it also makes us look at ourselves and improve ourselves. if we're doing something a certain way and then we are now showing somebody else or leading somebody else, helping them along, I think we can reassess how we are doing things as well. And for the mentee, it's very powerful in my own experience, as Helen was mentioning, to see women that did start off on the counter and are now at the top of their career, where there is no glass ceiling for them. They can do anything they want. So how do we do that? And I think, again, coming back to panels like this, somebody on the questions asked about associations being intimidating, and being open to somebody sending you an email or a LinkedIn message and, hey, how did you do this? And putting yourself out there, I think, is very important to support into supporting other people into this career path. And the whole thread of this conversation has been bringing women up alongside us, and the only way to do that is to put a hand back and bring them along with you. And I'm appreciative that I had somebody that has been open to a phone call and a discussion. And I'm just as open to somebody coming up to me and asking me the same thing. Maybe going to job fairs would be a great way for us in our local, communities, start putting ourselves out there into the education in high schools and reaching out to young women at a younger age to bring them to show them that it's just not standing outside of a bank, and it's not just on the tools on a construction site. There's so many different things. And I think that, again, I'm just very grateful for this panel that we can start having these discussions, because I don't know how to how to put myself out there. So it's just as important for us on this panel to be able to hear the ideas of our community, so that we know what we can do to help.
Perfect, thanks, Joanne. Ceres, can you talk a bit more about the importance of mentorship, either what it's meant for you personally or how you've seen good examples of mentorship in others?
Interesting thing that when I first started as chair of the Women in Security for the Toronto chapter, I was always thinking about mentoring. The role of a mentor would be mentoring someone younger, mentoring someone who's getting in the industry. But I'm actually going to pick back on some of the ladies' comments about security is such a broader topic that myself, I started on the electronic security side of things, and now I'm into the cyber security role. Like, yeah, I did another certification on the cyber security. And then this mentoring that we talk about, and my wrong thought was to mentor a younger generation. And I call myself mentoring someone at the same age in the security industry for many years, but she was on the physical security role. She was a guard. And then going again back on the comment on the chats about the intimidation, I did not want the chapter to be manager roles in the electronic security, ladies with many, many years in the career, because that was intimidating for this particular lady who didn't think she had anything to add to our chapter. And then for me, it was quite the opposite. Bringing someone from the security side of the business, from the actual, the physical security, and a mother, 3 kids, and she had so much she could contribute that she didn't even know. So we were building her confidence level. So we affect someone on the same career path that we had. And then for me, she would add stuff that I learned for myself, for my own personal and professional development. So I think on the mentor side, we have to broaden our initiative to try to bring to our associations someone looking for a career change, a career within the security industry. Like they said, there's so many roles within our industry. So we have to do this networking, be a mentor for someone within the same managerial role as you, looking for mentors, looking for the networking. So I think it's great. We do need to continue to bring other ladies into this these associations for this to be sharing these ideas. So mentor to everyone. I could be a mentor. I can have Helen being my mentor.
Thanks, Ceres. Erin, can you talk a bit more about the role of mentorship, and then Helen, and then I have another question. But Erin, do you want to kick that off again for us?
Sure. So I've seen a lot of really fantastic impacts with the Time Mentorship Program. It's our second year doing it. And the response last year was just incredible. There was a really hunger and a thirst for some dedicated programming around mentorship and mentorship opportunities, both for the mentee cohort, but also the mentor cohort who had benefited from mentors in the past and were looking to kind of give back in that way. I'm really excited because this is going to be the year that I actually get to participate after last year building the program from the ground up. And I've just moved into a new role with Latch, and I actually am just kicking off my mentorship with my new mentor. And she's in a role that previously wouldn't have related to quite the same. But now with my new transition, I messaged her and I said, I'm really looking forward to your guidance because I'm a little overwhelmed by this role change. And I think you can be really helpful to me in this growth period. But I've also really benefited from kind of informal mentors in the industry who I've met through networking opportunities, who I've met through different industry events, who have just been willing to lend their time and their knowledge to help me and guide me and present me with new opportunities. And I think that this industry is one that is very influenced by mentorship and sponsorship. And I think that the impact and the value of building your network and making connections and finding people who are interested in the same things you are and also have a network that you can capitalize on is really imperative for people finding their place in the industry and feeling like this is a place that they can grow. And kind of like I said in the last panel, I think it's really important that, when we're all starting out, I know especially for me, I remember those moments when individuals took me under their wing and said, I support you, I'm in your corner, and helped me figure out the next step. And there's nothing that I really want to do more than get to a place where I can be that for someone else. And so I think the goal of mentorship is both that guidance and that ability to help people figure out what's going on and navigating different areas of your career. But I also think that if a mentor program or a mentorship relationship and a sponsorship relationship is done well, it creates a community of giving back. And I think that's really powerful in the security industry when we talk about retaining talent, is how do we make these moments of impact sustainable and make people inspired to kind of give back in that same way that other people dedicated their time to them.
Thank you, Erin. Before we move on to the next question, Helen, do you want to just talk a little bit more about mentorship?
Well, from my perspective, the mentorship in the security industry, I was fortunate enough when I started years and years ago. I worked with a locksmith, and they took the time to explain the ins and outs of door hardware, door security. So they mentor you in that area, but then that also leads into the electronic side. And because I had that type of mentorship and steering from other individuals, I've been able to share my knowledge with the other people in my organization, even some senior people, about how this equipment works, how it happens. So I mean, mentorship, as Sarah said, isn't just mentoring the younger, it's also mentoring your coworkers, the senior people. You may have a very diverse work environment where you have a woman in security that handles all your accounting side, but doesn't necessarily know what widget A and widget B is doing, but you can work together and mentor the people in that area as well. So, and security being so diverse, you can't know everything. So being able to work with each other and build each other's knowledge levels is incredibly important.
Thank you, Helen. What types of questions are you hearing from younger security professionals? What are they looking for, and how is the industry, whether it's from an association perspective or a business perspective, how are they stepping up and fulfilling those needs? A pretty big question, but I'm going to go to Ceres first on that one, please.
Again, going back to the question about security, so it's hard for a young professional to understand what she or he is about to embark on, because again, going back to the security concept, which is so broad, the most common questions that I see, even from a personal group of people that I have, my friends, and younger generation, what they have is, well, I don't want to go in security, because they think about either as a physical security or a cyber security, which is a bit more challenging. And then it's really up to us in associations like the ones we are part of, and the associations we're trying to talk and to present this younger generation that yes, it is very rewarding. It's rewarding not only financially if you dedicated yourself to, but it's also rewarding from your personal achievements. There is always something new. If we talk about the electronic security side, which I'm part of it, it's an all evolving technology. Nothing that is something today will be the same tomorrow. So it's very like I said, it's an ever changing market. So your job is never going to be boring, because there's always something new for you to learn. So it's really what I hear a lot from this young security professionals is how to be successful in their current roles, what professional certifications they should go to. Like I've had conversations when there was like, I sat them down and I'm like, okay, what is it that you like? Because when you talk about certifications, you have, the ASIS certifications that are available for you online, or do you want to go into more like a CCTV certification, or again, cybersecurity, or the project management professional? I mean, there is so much that you can do to improve yourself. Skills interchange. Another question is, how do I change careers within the security? Going back to the certifications, the learning curve. How do I advance in my career? How do I get a managerial role? So those are most of the type of questions that I have. And at the associations, they have a lot of resources, ASIS, CANASA as well, even the Immigrant Women in Business that I'm part of. There's so many resources for any type of improvement you want to do in your career. So it's just a matter of being part of association, being engaging, and being able to answer all of the questions that they might have. So, and then the mentoring as well.
Thank you, Ceres. Helen, same question. What are you hearing from younger folks in the industry, and how is the industry helping them, supporting them as they start their career journeys, either through the associations or what's available in the industry?
Well, in my sector, I get a lot of questions of where do I get the education? There's not a lot of post-secondary places in Canada that offer electronic security, education and training. It kind of morphs into sometimes the IT side, sometimes the electronic technologist side. So what I try to do is make recommendations. For example, CANASA has their ATC, their alarm tech certification courses. So it's steering the young people, that people try to figure out the path that they want to go, and help them find the right course within an association that can support their endeavors to grow. And that being said, I mean, because we're so diverse, as the other ladies have said, you can start off with learning about low voltage cabling and the old BNC CCTV systems, and now you're moving into more the IT side of it with the IP communications and the IP networking. So it's very diverse, but it's trying to help and guide people in the direction they need to go, and find the right course in the association that will support that.
Great, thanks, Helen. Joanne, same question.
Truthfully, I would only echo what everybody else has been saying along this path, other than it's important for us, as we're asked the questions, is to identify what those individuals' specific needs and wants are. Spending a few minutes with them to educate them, or have a conversation with them as to all the different aspects of security and where their interests lie. And in some regard, for some individuals, they're looking for a career that they can take from A to Z and go as far as they possibly can, whereas other people are really, as when I came into this industry 15 years ago, I was a single mom with 3 kids going into middle and high school, and I needed a position that I could was flexible enough that I could, keep an eye on them, as it were. And so that was attractive to me. So understanding what the people that are the individuals that are asking us what the questions is, to take the time to talk to them, going back to the mentorship, take the time to ask them a few leading questions so that we can help them, because the most young adults, or even as myself coming into this career at a bit of a later age, no idea what to expect, going into a sales role, and where it could lead me to where I'm at today. So again, like I said, it's really just all coming. We're coming back to the same conclusions each time. Mentorship, asking the questions, and just giving a hand out and a hand up. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks, Joanne. I think I want to ask one more question before we go to the chat, because there's a couple of things in the chat that we should address. But since you've been involved in the industry, have you seen attitudes change towards women working in the industry? Are we going in the right direction? Are things improving? And I hope we are, but I'd be very interested to get your comments on that. Erin, do you want to go first on that?
Sure. I think that there's been a tremendous evolution, at least since I entered the industry. I entered right out of university in 2016. And I still consider myself pretty early on in my career, even though I've had 6 years almost under me. And I've seen and I have benefited from the intentionality around bringing more people into spaces they haven't traditionally been. And so that's been in the form of recruitment, of looking at spaces like robotics teams to start talking to people about technology that's needed for cybersecurity or security, or sharing opportunities with, college students or high school students who might not understand what the security industry is. And I think that in general, there is a shift that is happening, and we're starting to see a lot more individuals become vocal about their experience in the industry and wanting to share the benefits of being part of the industry. And I know for me, I'm from the States originally, and I moved to Canada about 2 months before the pandemic hit. So not the most opportune time to move to another country. And it was absolutely incredible to see how my network that I relied on in the States, who had individuals in Canada, they were willing to connect me with people. So even though I moved to a place that I didn't really know anyone, and I didn't really have any avenues for meeting people because of all of the shutdowns and just the reality of the world, individuals knew that I had made this transition, and they wanted to help me feel like I was part of this Canadian community that I wasn't part of before. And so, I've even had a couple conversations during the coffee break with individuals who connected with me on LinkedIn and said, I'm interested in this. Do you know anyone who could help me? Or do you know of a program I should get involved in? And I think it's really awesome to be able to be the connector. So I don't know anything about cybersecurity, but I have a great friend in the industry who has a cybersecurity firm and who's president of the Cybersecurity Advisory Board through SIA. And so if I can just be the conduit to connect those two people, she's going to find a community that will help her guide through whatever she's looking to do with this career transition she's looking to make. And so I think that that's really the evolution that I've seen, is there's a lot more willingness to lean on your network, be that connector, or reach out to individuals and say, hey, I know you're well connected. I know you're involved in a lot of stuff. Can you help me figure out how to get involved too? And so I think that's kind of the responsibility that mentorship has outside of a structured program or kind of a longevity mentorship relationship, is if I can just help connect one person with someone else who might be impactful for them, that's mentorship in itself. And that's just advocacy when it comes down to it.
Great, thanks very much, Erin. Helen, have you seen any changes in the industry since you've been involved?
Well, this will be dating myself, but yes, I've been involved in security for 22 years. So when I first started in this path, purely by accident, finding women that dealt with security programming, that dealt with lock and hardware, we are rare, and there's still, there's growth in that area. But I can say that when I first started, I was not seen as an equal to the male counterparts doing the same type of work. So definitely there has been growth in the industry. you know, I can actually work with other male counterparts, explain the functions of things, what's going on, and you know, you're taken seriously now. Granted, 22 years of hard work to be, you know, supported, believed in, and prove, right? Just like male counterparts, you have to prove yourself. I just think that sometimes women feel or have to prove themselves just a little bit more to be taken seriously. But yeah, I've definitely seen a change. I mean, look at, we're sitting here on this forum today, whereas, you know, probably 15 years ago, this probably wouldn't have happened. Not that soon. So there's definitely been a change.
Thank you. Joanne.
Hi, yeah, I can concur with Helen. I've been in the industry for going on 16 years, and I come from the electronic security side. And just a simple observation as being in a trade show, I'm going around the booths, and I would be one of a handful of women in those conference rooms. And today to be walking around, well, not today because we haven't had trade shows for 2 years, but in general, just to be able to come across more women in general in all roles of security, whether it's electronic or physical or cyber or IT, it's so encouraging to me to see that. The doors are opening, yes, slowly, but somebody pointed out on the first panel that it's still a majority of men over 40. And the disadvantage I think that women have, as we're still considered newer in the industry, where a lot of our male counterparts have been in the industry for many, many more years, have many, many more contacts, many, many more stories, many, and so we always seem to feel like we're catching up. And so I'm enjoying this discussion, and I think that this is just a great way to show that that I feel we're moving in the right direction. Sometimes it feels slow. Even to me, it feels slow, but sometimes slow and steady wins the race. And I think that we just work hard and be professional and keep going.
Thank you, Joanne. Ceres, we'll give you the last word on this one.
Thank you. Of course, we have come a long way, like they all mentioned. You know, that's great that we have a panel like this. So definitely we have come a long way in terms of having more women in managerial roles and leadership roles. But what I found more in the sense of trying to prove ourselves, it feels like we're always like learning more. We're always getting more certifications. We're always like, I'll say from my personal experience, it seems like it's a never ending study that I do. I'm always trying to keep up with the technology. And that as much as we have come a long way in terms of having more women in the market, I yet never had a women as my manager. So, and also it feels like that someone else said about men having managerial roles or direct roles, more of a sense of a power, where women will take that role as more of a guidance to the team. I feel like there are a lot of mansplaining happening. I don't know if any one of you already felt, but it seems like on the sense of the fear of losing the power in a conference call or on a boardroom, it feels like the directors or male counterparts, subtle, they would mansplain or take over the discussion over a women, maybe of a sense of a fear, maybe a sense of confidence. I don't know. I think we still have to change that particular mindset.
Thanks, Ceres. There was a point in the chat, and maybe it's worth just checking in on that in the last couple of minutes we have. But somebody asked a question about, does RISE work with ASIS? But I know a lot of you are represented on multiple associations, and I know there is some collaboration that goes on between the association. But just throw it open to the panel. Can you talk maybe a bit more about how the associations collaborate, or how they work together, or how they're sort of helping in terms of mutual goals?
I think because I saw that question too, and I know, so RISE and ASIS, or SIA, which is the umbrella association that RISE rolls up under, and ASIS are both tremendous associations. I think SIA is more focused on North America and ASIS is more of an international organization. That being said, I think that a lot of our members are members of both organizations, especially from the young professional side, because ASIS has some tremendous young professional initiatives and programs that you can be a part of. And we certainly encourage all of our participants and our community members to get involved in anything that they can get involved in, because at the end of the day, any opportunity that's being provided to security professionals is a fantastic value add. And our mission at RISE is basically to learn from each other and be able to provide those impactful experiences. So there's been some overlap. I know that if we see really great ASIS initiatives, RISE tries to promote them. And I think vice versa. There's a lot of respect between the two organizations. I don't think they partner on specific collaborative experiences together, but I think that they're both doing really impactful work. And I actually, because SIA doesn't have as strong of a presence in Canada, since I've moved, I've been looking to get more involved with ASIS, specifically in Toronto, as I'm trying to grow my network, and my role is more focused on the Canadian market now. So if anyone has an opportunity for me to connect with those individuals, I'll put it out there now. I'd love to connect with you and see how I can get involved, and maybe we can bridge the gap together between those two groups a little bit stronger than it is now.
Great, thanks, Erin. If nobody has anything else, I think we're gonna have to close it off. I've got 2:57 on the corner of my screen here, so we're trying to close up by 3. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to join us today. Thank you very much for your perspectives. It's been very engaging and educational for everybody, I think.